Bismillah Rahman Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Hassan Akbar, and today the topic of our presentation is production technology of wheat. So the teacher of our course is Dr. Rahila, and my group partners is Muhammad Hassan Akbar, which is we, and the only one is Shiraz Ashraf, who is not well yet, and he has some throat problems. That's why he did not deliver his part, and I will try to cover his part. So let's move towards our topic without wasting our time. So as we know that wheat is our staple food, and we need twice or thrice in a day. So the scientific name of wheat is Triticum aestivatum, and if we talk about its kingdom is Plantae, and division is Magnoliphyta, and class is Lilopsida, and order is Cyprales, family is Poaceae, and genus is species is Triticum aestivatum. So if we talk about its background knowledge and history, so the cultivation of wheat began to separate firstly in 6000 before Christ in Egypt. They are the early Egyptians who developers of bread and use of oven and developed baking into the one of the largest scale food productions. After that, in 6500 before Christ, it reaches to India, and after India, the cultivation it separated beyond the fertile crescents of about 8500 before Christ. It reaches to Greece, Cyprus, and mainland Europe. Now we will talk about its economic importance, that how much wheat is important for our daily consumption and for our health. So it is sown 220 million hectares in the world, with 564 million ton production in the world, average of 2500 kg per grain per hectare. So Pakistan stand 10th place in the terms of area, and 59th position in terms of wheat producing in the world, and annually production of wheat is 25 million man in the world. The average per acre yield of wheat is estimated between 20 to 25 months, and if we do some extra efforts, like if we gave them proper treatment of fertilizers, urea, phosphorus, DAP, etc., it will increase the annual production of wheat. So now we'll talk about wheat applications, that where we can use wheat. Uh, Foods made with wheat are major part of diet for over one third of the world's people. Wheat can be found almost in every meal, like breads, cookies, cakes, crackers, macaronis, and many more. And the other forms of pasta are made from flour, which is also made up of wheat. So now we'll talk about its nutritional value, that how much it is healthy for us. So the energy which is found in wheat is 1506 kilojoule, and in other words 360 kilocalories. And the carbohydrates present in the wheat is 51.8 gram, and dietary fibers which present in the wheat is 13.2 gram, and fat which is found in the wheat is 9.2 gram. Protein is 23.15 gram. Thiamine is in thiamine, vitamin B1 is also found, and its concentration is 1.882 milligram, and vitamin B6 is 1.3 milligram. So now we'll talk about its production technology, that how production technology affects the production of wheat. So the factor firstly which will affect the production of wheat is soil and climate. Soil is also an important part of soil also play an important role in production technology of wheat. If the soil is silt to clay type, it produces best yield, and if the soil type is sandy loam, it produces average yield, and if the soil is sandy soil, then it produces low average. And also wheat is the best crop for cool, comparatively warm spring seasons. So now we'll talk about its cultural practices, that how much cultural practices affects the production of wheat. So the first factor in cultural practices is seedbed preparation, manuring, and the second one is time of sowing, that how much time is important for best production of yield in optimum temperature. Seed rate is also important, and planting method, insect pest control, and the other one is interculture and weeding, and the next is harvesting, and the second last is storage, and the last is processing is also important for production technology of wheat. So firstly we'll discuss seedbed preparation. So the land should be ploughed as soon as the previous crop is removed. In rain-fed areas, fields should be deep ploughed on the monsoon. It will affect the production of wheat. In irrigated areas, land should be ploughed to control weeds and dry the soil. Field should be irrigated 7 to 15 days before planting of wheat. So that's why it is important. Now we'll talk about its manuring, that how manuring affects the production of wheat. Organic manure should be applied 40 to 50 days before sowing, and the dose of fertilizers is nitrogen, potassium and zinc depends upon the variety of soil, that if the soil is silt, loamy or sandy. Soil type, water availability and rotation also affects the production of wheat. Fertilizers, nitrogen and phosphorus should be applied in the ratio of 1:1, means 1 bag in 1 acre, or 2 bags in 1 acre phosphorus. Potassium should be applied at the rate of 60 to 80 kg per hectare when soil is sandy or irrigated with tube well. So now we'll talk about its fertilizers which are recommended for wheat in Punjab, that it will affect the production technology of wheat. If we apply sufficient amount of fertilizers, it produces best yield, and if we apply low dose of wheat, it will decrease the production of wheat. So in low rainfall areas, the amount of nitrogen is 55 kg per hectare, and the amount of phosphorus is 55 kg per hectare, and the amount of potassium is 60 kg per hectare, and 1 hectare is equal to 2.5 acre, which is also we got in point while applying these fertilizers. And the next is medium rainfall areas. The amount of nitrogen required is 85 kg per hectare, and the amount of phosphorus is 55 kg per hectare, and the amount of potash is 60 kg per hectare. It is important to keep mind that how much dose is required per acre. In high rainfall areas, the amount of nitrogen, potash, and phosphorus is 1, 60, and 85. In average irrigated areas, the amount percentage required 110, 55, and 60 kg per hectare. In rich irrigated areas, the amount required of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium is 85, 50, and potassium is not required in that type of areas. In low fertility areas, the amount of nitrogen required per hectare is 135 kg, and the amount of phosphorus required for that is 110 kg, and potassium is not required for that type of soil. And now we'll talk about time and seed rate, that how time and seed rate affects the production of wheat. In diurnal, the optimum temperature which is best for production of wheat is 20 to 23 degrees Celsius, which is best for emergence of wheat. First to third week of November, temperature reaches optimum ranges, which is the best time to grow seeds. Sowing for Pakistan. And if we talk about its seed rate, and almost 100 kg seed is required in normal sowing per hectare. And if we do late sowing in late December, then the amount of seed is required is 110 kg or to 125 kg per hectare. Now we'll discuss its method of planting, that how method of planting affects the production of wheat. So basically there are two areas. The first one is irrigated area, and the other one is rain-fed areas. In irrigated areas, there are three methods. The first one is drill method, and the second one is Kira method, and the third one is broadcast method. So firstly, we'll discuss drill method, which is the best method by which we can maintain row to row distance and plant to plant distance, which affects the which affects the production of wheat. And the second one is Kira method, it's also a machine technology. And the third one is broadcaster, which we call in Urdu language is Chhatta method. And in Chhatta method, we will increase 5% seed rate. In rain-fed areas, there are two methods. The first one is Pura method, and the second one is drill method. Both methods are good, but drill method is preferred because it maintains plant to plant and row to row distance. So weed seed of new dwarf cultivar should not be sown deeper than 5 centimeter. So if we grow it below the 5 centimeters, they will not grow outside the soil. So now we'll talk about its recommended varieties, that which varieties should be preferred for best production of wheat. So firstly we'll talk about its old varieties, that which old varieties we use before 2000. So the first one is Inqilab 91, which is invented in 1991, and the next is Punjab 96, MH 97, and as it is Pasban 90, Bahawalpur 97, Okab 2000, and Iqbal also 2000. But these are not preferred nowadays. And the new varieties which we use nowadays is Seher 2006 and Shafiq, and Faisalabad 2008. It's also preferred, and Faisalabad 2011, Lasani 2011, Punjab 2011, RE 2011, and Akbar 19 should also be preferred due to high production of wheat. So in last year, few varieties are also invented, but these are not grown in normal farmers areas. If we talk about irrigation, that how much irrigation is required for complete time of from sowing to harvesting is required. Wheat needs 4 to 6 irrigations depending upon latitude, soil type, cultivar, and rainfall. And if we talk about its latitude is the distance from equator. And soil type, if the land is silt type or soil type, or silt type, clay type, or sandy type, these depends upon the type of soil, that how much irrigation is required. Now we'll talk about its critical stages of wheat, that how much stages that we should give them proper care and treatment. The first is adventitious root development, when root become to develop, and the next is NCs. NCs is the process of starting of flowering, and the next is milk stage, and the other is tailoring, and the second last is emergence, and the last is growth stage. These are the critical stages, and the first irrigation which we will give to wheat is after 20 to 25 days of sowing, and the second is at booting stage, and the third is at milk stage. And next, if the soil is rough, then we will apply further irrigation. It depends upon the soil type. And now we'll talk about its common weeds, that how many types of common weeds which are found in wheat variety. The first is Phalaris minor, which is also called in local language is Dumicity, and the next is Avina fatwa, which is wild oats. Is the next is Chinopodium, which is also called Batu, and Convolvulus, which is also called in local language lily. So if we talk about this method to weed control, firstly we will discuss cultural method. Double bar harrow should be practiced for weed controls. And if we talk about its chemical method, selective weedicide is used for broad and narrow leaves. If the both leaves are grown in the wheat field, then we use wide spectrum. But it should be kept in your mind that in good moisture condition we should apply weedicides at when weeds are at 2 to 3 and wheat crop are at 3 to 4 leaf stages. So it should be kept in your mind. Now we'll talk about its insect pests, that which type of insects are found in the wheat. The first is grasshopper, and the second one is crickets, and the next is aphid, and the next is armyworm, which is also a dangerous insect. It rapidly replicate themselves and damage the production of wheat. So it should be control earlier as soon as possible. So the next last is white ants, and if we talk about pest is rust of wheat and smut of wheat. So now we will talk about its harvesting. Timely harvesting should be preferred, because if we will not harvest at the proper time, pre-harvest sprouting, bird damage, or overwintering, or pre-harvest losses should be occur. Yet must be dry enough for storage. So the moisture which should be preferred for harvesting is 10 to 12%. So we should harvest at the proper time. So if we talk about its threshing method, there are some machineries which are used for threshing. The first one is like harvester, a harvester, combine harvester, and thresher should be used for threshing. And if we talk about is yield of production, average yield of wheat is 20 to 25 to 30 months per acre in normal areas. And if we apply high potential, like if we apply sufficient dose of fertilizers, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, it also depends upon the variety of wheat which should be grown in the soil. It reaches to 60 to 75 months per acre. So that's our topic of presentation. Thank you for listening. If any question, you can ask me. Jazakallah. Allah Hafiz.